That is looping. It seems to have a sum, and then they have some kind of equalization of the small stuff. So you don't have to pay the fractions of a krona. You only pay kronas. And then you have the and then something. Okay, so I don't know whether you learned anything from this, but we need to find the structure here, and we need to play here with the details. And I think the methodology here is clever because we focused on the structure first. We made sure we could parse the file using those 100 numbers as the keys, and then we can do the details later. Because we know we can read the different fields, of course.
Okay.
But it's gonna be yeah. I think what you do is you restart the complete ADF. You make one line. You make sure they have the same number of documents or same number of fields, and then you copy that record. So you don't have to redo all those different fields for each record, right? You just copy those. And then once you copied those 10 different records in the structure that we already have here, then you would have all the details, I guess. Then you have data in different fields here that you can use to have sphere factura on the right-hand side. But you need to find the specification on what to map to what.
Oh yeah.
Because otherwise you would guess and come up with too many stuff. Anyway, so I don't know if I save here now. I make an archive of this. We're going to talk about archives soon anyway. Great. I think you saw that. You can reach that archive here under User Magnus Datamapper Archive KD map.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I have it now. And then do you have access to the prompt? To this guy? I died on.
Oh, I don't know.
But isn't it okay?
Yes, you do. Everyone has the access to the PuTTY.
Or you have access to the file system, right? From the Explorer, don't you? From here.
Yes.
Yes.
But I don't. But you have, hopefully. Okay. But then you just copy from you take the .arc file, and then you have everything that we done now, including the test file. So let's talk about that. Do you understand what it means with those archives? Shall we? And then if you find more examples, that's fantastic. But let's see what we got here. Oh, I killed the PowerPoint. So, Datamapper Builder. Just a few slides here. Quite quick, quite boring. So we have the client PC with the Datamapper. We create the ADFs and the report. And then we transfer the stuff over to the Datamapper Builder, which then is turning that into an X4. And then we talked about this. We've done the simulate and testing. Now we're going to discuss these projects and archives as well. Remote control. Yeah. We know this is what we have to do every time we make a new map, right? So that works. And then this remote control works sometimes not. So think of it like sloppy written product code. So just have some patience, restart the things, and then it works, kind of thing. You will learn after a while what works and not works. It doesn't work always. That's how it works. Building your map is easy. Yeah, you press the build button there, and you start the Datamapper builder here, compiling. And then you have errors, and you can look. This is the old GUI. You have a better GUI now. Not much, but little. You can see it directly. Anyway, so this is how it looked before, and you have some errors. And the simulating and testing, step by step, just and you go there. Bam, fantastic. Okay. Step. We looked through that already, and you examine the results on the output object. Perfect. Or you can even see it there. Okay. We don't know that. Now, there is once you built, you then are able to register and made public. Now, what does that mean? That I think is important to understand. So on the system, we can do like that. I'll show you through this browsing here. On the core local, we have all the users here. And then I have my user somewhere here. There, Magnus. So the number of test files here. Lovely, isn't it? And then I have under Datamapper archive. I have all the archives here. That is archives I've been working with somehow, or not only me. No, sorry, this is all the archives that exist. That's right. So you don't have to, you just have to open this now, Vitaly. You don't have to move anything because it's linked, right? We all link everyone's archive to one big mother of an archive directory. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I build my program, in PGM, there you have different main codes. So then I get the X4 is under 4EDI PGM. So if I do like that, modified. So there you can see today, 12/15, 1548. So that's the X4. But, you know, under my user Magnus 4EDI PGM, that's where I have the X4. That's no good. And in order to do it public, what happens then? Well, public is this directory called core local 4EDI. PGM, right? So here, there is no data KM there. So if I go in here and Datamapper builder, and then I compilation OK, and then if I register this, yeah, and I should really register it. Why should I register it? Well, and I made it public. To make it public, now let's see. In there. This is all cached. There it is. So that means make public means moving the program from my user local user Magnus 4EDI PGM to core local 4EDI PGM. And if you're going to run now in the production or in the stage, it has to reside on these directories. But there's another step. You need to do this deploy program. So, but in order to deploy, it has to reside on the PGM. It doesn't look on the user. So, and then click here. If you open there, you can then send it to stage or to prod, right? And then you have it available from the fib++ to be used in your routing.
Yes.
But if you make programs here in the Datamapper Builder without registering it, then you do. I've done this many times, and then you deploy without registering it. Nothing will be moved. You will move the old file again and again and again, and you wonder why does nothing happen.
But isn't the checkmark
Yeah.
auto-registered?
So if you do that,
Same?
if you do that and you build, you are right. Simulator. Back. Exactly. So if you do that.
Yeah, we are doing so.
Yeah, then it's okay. Then you move it's made public, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, yeah, and that's I guess what you should do.
Yes, we are doing so.
Good. You should, and all these options here. I think default. I think is nice to have this, and you should never have this, because that means that it runs in debug mode. So that you should never have, because then you will get so much stuff. You have to run the interpreter in debug mode also to get the information, but never have that one. And if you see one, take it away. This one, I don't really know what it is, but don't use it.
Okay.
But these guys, and this one, yes, you use it because then you just deploy afterwards. This one here is quite interesting. Store mapped data only. So that means that it stores the data that is used on the link mapping in the data tree. If you have it unclicked here, then it will store all the red data in the data tree, not only the stuff you map.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you will have errors in the code, because sometimes you go into the input file to get data from other data sources or other places in the input file, basically, which is not mapped per se. You don't map from that field, but you grab data from that field with this addressing, with a @ sign and da-da-da. I want to get data from this, but you don't map it. That means that if it's like this, if it's like that data is actually not stored in the data tree, you will get an error. You will get a compile error, because that data is not actually stored. So you don't know where, you can't find it. So that means that you need to unclick this one and then recompile it, and then it will work. It takes longer time to compile it. It becomes bigger programs and so on. So if you start with this enabled, and as long as you manage without it disabled, it's good. You save space and time and performance and so on. So it's good. But if you find that you get compilation errors because of it, of course, then you have to disable it and use the map without it. So I usually say that having these two here enabled, that's good. You may need to disable this one if you are accessing data that is not mapped. Okay, but this is the default, I think, to have it like this. Okay, so let's go down here and see again. Made public. Now, so projects basically is just a file containing pointers to the files that are used when you build a map into an X4, including the test files also. So it contains the test files and a pointer to all the different files that are used. An archive, though, is everything inside one file. There you have included the ADFs, included the report, included the map, included the main code. So there you have, and the test files. So there it's one file containing everything, whereas the project is only a file containing pointers. We can have a look so you understand. So under core local user, right, Magnus, and what the? I get the directories first here. Well, it should be the Datamapper there. And under here we have PRG. All right, I mean that's not that one. So there we have the KD map project. So here you can see this is the name of the project. This is the RTM file, the different ADFs, the map.x4, all like that. But it's only a file name. And then here you have the actual test file. And here you have some cryptic stuff, I don't know. And here you have another. No, sorry, here's the test file here. I don't know what that is. So it's a binary file. You should consider it binary, anyway. But, so this is not a very big file. Then if you look at the archive. All right, then I took it away. Good, clever guy. So let's open it again. Project, Magnus Datamapper archive. And then we come to this, of course. There. So then you actually have the test file, you have everything there, but now you have the contents of the ADFs as well. Yeah, it's not pretty. You're not meant to read this anyway. So this is the actual ADFs definitions, and at some point we come to the map definition. It's ASCII, so that's nice. And I think at the end, yeah, and here you come to the binary part. So that's the X4. So that means that if you save an archive, you actually save everything that is related to this map in one single file. And you maybe have seen that they kind of turn quite big sometimes, those archives. It's not particularly good to save huge test files in an archive. It's not meant to be testing big files. It's meant to test functionality, If you don't want to do performance or something, if you have a big file that you want to save as a test file, try to cut it down to what is really important in a file. Because then it will be kept and you will make a new version, 14 versions later, you have like half a gig of this fucking test file all over. So try to avoid having big files in these archives. That is a general, yeah. So, and this is what Thomas said before, beware of opening archives because that existing client ADF and .map files might be overwritten. They will be overwritten for sure. And there might be a problem. So this is unfortunately the only way it works now. I know in B2BI there is the mapping services a client, which is quite nice. It's built on yeah. It's not Epsilon, but the Java development studio, you can say. And so it's all included, and you just hook up subversion behind there, and it's going to work much better. Something.
När planeten och solen får i...
Equinox? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I will find out soon. So, as we looked at it, so we know. Right. Eclipse, that's it. Eclipse, that's what it's called. So there you go. So the project contains these files, and the archive contains physically these files. So that's good. So in the end, you now know that it really looks like this. You have, so what happens is that when you press build, yeah, one can look at the log of the build too, but you see that it creates code for reading, it creates code for mapping, and it creates code for writing or printing the file. And then you have the main code and a number of libraries, and that all gets compiled into an X4. So that's all the files there. That means also sometimes you get strange compilation errors in line 2343 in this file has a syntax problem. So, and the files actually exist. So you can actually look into those and see what there is. Usually they look very ugly because they automatically generated and so on. So not much to look at, but sometimes you might find what you want to there. Usually it gives you better ideas what to do with error messages. And if we look here in a typical build, you can actually see here. So here's that loading all this different stuff. So generating the S4I file there, and then it generates the S4O file, and then it generates the S4M file for mapping, and then generating tracking down, and then then your generation is okay, and then you start to compile, and compilation is okay, and then we do the registration and so on. So it's true. It really looks like this. So do archives when you feel like you're ready for the day. You might get sick tomorrow. Someone has to take over your map. If you haven't done an archive, it's really hard because you need to find the files on your directory, different map and VW files and so on. It's tricky. So please try to finish every day with an archive on your project, so you know where to start the next day. You have a backup, and if a bus drives over you, your colleagues can resume the work after you. No bus will drive over you, of course, but you never know with buses or cyclists for that matter. So was that the last presentation? No, I think what was this one here? It's a teaser for the next training course. So the next time we meet, but I'm not going to end the course now. Well, now we can play. But the idea that we can talk about that, we agreed on that I should come over to Riga, be with you guys 2 days in January at some point. And the idea then is that we're going to go through the advanced Datamapper. There's another 2 days that we're going to compress into, I think, not even 1 day, 3/4 of a day. It's not. We don't have to go through all the chapters there because there are some that is not relevant for you guys at all. So we're going to go over that quite quickly. We'll have a review of what we learned here, of course, to start with, and then we go over the main code and the data tree, I would say. And then we don't need to look at the programming language unless you have questions on the language itself. So there is some kind of training course that talk about the core language. That, you know, if you have done any programming training, that's programming, and you should know about that.
I have a question regarding execution sequence.
Execution sequence? Yes.
Where does it start and why? And where does it go? And when does it write the XML file, for example?
Yes, that's part of the...
So, for example, in what moment do I need to have all the previous data? What is previous data?
What is previous data? What do you mean?
The data I need to, for example, merge two data together and put somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But how do I know that I have them?
Aha.
Have I already passed that process? So I have the data. Then I really need to know what comes first. In what sequence does it execute all the statements, all the mapping?
Well, if you have two different files coming into a system and you want to execute the map-based...
It's enough with one. If I have one file.
Yeah, if you have one file, yeah, well, that makes the thing 1,000 times easier. Because two files, then you have a completely different project.
Is it oriented in a sequence of the output, or is it the input sequence that defines the sequence?
The way the Datamapper map is executed is stated here, basically. There is some code that you don't see here that calls the map. So there is code that reads from the queue and then calls this function here called execute map. And then the map is executed here, and you have basically here comes activate code. That's where you have the actual mapping code that is generated automatically. And then this is what we're going to learn next time.
Okay.
But then what you have to your availability is this event. That is the idea that there are a number of events here. Before open input, after open input, before open output, after open output, before mapping, after mapping, before logging, after logging. So you can modify the data and do things, and you can skip next event. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if you don't want to do logging, then you say before logging, I skip next event. That means logging is skipped. Mm-hmm. If you want to do logging for some reason, secret stuff, maybe card numbers or something. So there are ways to play then with the control of a map with this event, and that's next training kind of thing, the main code part there. But then otherwise, when you're inside the XIB with the activities and how that is executed, and with the MVCs and so on, that's something we'll talk about next time too.
Okay.
Because the training next time is the idea there is that we do also manual. Well, we don't do that here, but there is something we call the advanced MVC training, and I think that is very valuable for you guys. So then we're going to talk about how you make these MVCs, and the map is basically an MVC, but you don't have access to the details that you have in the MVC. So it's kind of abstracted to an easier level to do a map, but everything you can do in an MVC you can also do in a map if you have to. So you can do clever stuff, more clever stuff in a map if you really want to. But here is when you make split programs, when you make enveloper programs, when you make logging programs, you make any kind of small programs that would glue together the whole flow of things. That not only mapping, but the other stuff that the client asks for, you know. The stuff that Sven is doing now with receipts being sent to customers, even though they can look in the watchdog and so on. And there are a number of MVCs then. You have creator modifiers, you have classifiers, you have triggers, and then you have stuff, how to correlate. So this stuff here is quite advanced. But I think, especially for you guys, it's been around a while now. Hopefully this will clear a lot of things on how the deep down system really works. For you new guys, you will have seen it, and later on, hopefully appreciate it. But it's good because they hopefully will give a much better understanding on how the logging and everything works in the system. And this usually is 2 days only. This 2 hard days, so we're going to compact that into maybe 1 day then. So Datamapper Advanced and then Message Builder Advanced, you can say. MBC is what we're going to talk about. But until when, I don't know exactly. We're going to mail about exact what dates we're going to do it. It's going to be a 2nd or 3rd week in January in Riga for everyone to come there. I hope you have good weather and great, you know, stuff there. And then we'll hopefully you will have a lot of more examples and questions until then, so you can figure out when you sit in projects, note them down, and so we remember them till next time, right? So we can really work on your exact day-to-day problems. That would be fun. So, do we have any last requests and questions now? So we did something with Kronans Droghandel. We did some stuff with the waybill. I think you need more information there, Anton. We did.
Magnus, will we cover communication stuff next time, or is it
Yeah,
more Datamapper stuff?
That's also part of the training, but I'm gonna be extremely high level on the communication, because that's Sven is really the expert on the hairy stuff with EBXML and UFTP v2 and AS2 and so on. But I will cover the editorial integration, how that works. So here we have production.
Andreas, I will have to run now. So, but
Yep.
Thanks for today, Magnus.
Yeah, thank you. This is what we're going to talk about next time. How this guy works. That's going to be fun. Because you guys, when you do make a map, you come into work here. This is where the first map can be run. Or here, or here, or here. So this is where the programs that you make in a routing run. But how the hell does the file get there in the first place? So I can describe then what we do here with these different green things here before we get to where you do the routing. So we basically here we have the lookup, the agreement lookup. This is what is looking up, and there is no database, by the way. So all things you do in the fib, that's stored in the database, but the runtime file coming to XIB is then turned into a B tree search file or directory. So we search all these files with the if we do the last 5 minutes here with a B-tree search, because it was expensive to buy an Oracle license when we installed XIB, and B-tree is much faster anyway. FTP.
What's the environment?
This is Linux.
AS, AIX or
No, Linux. It's a PC.
Intel.
Yeah, Intel.
Okay.
Something. So here we look up the agreement, and you can see it was in the same millisecond. You do the lookup, and we got I think 60,000 entries now in this database with double quotes with the B-tree lookup. So it goes really fast, and the whole flow here from retrieve to send took less than 3/10 of a second, I guess. You see, it was within a second. You have retrieved the file, done all the stuff you want to do. I guess it wasn't anything. It was just archiving. No, yeah, it was nothing. No mapping. Sorry, that's why it was fast. But it's still okay. And then only. Yeah, there we got 2 seconds later. We got an acknowledgement from AS2 that the customer has received the file. So I think it's pretty fast. Have you talked with the A2A guys about how fast the file go through their system? You work with the A2A guys there in Riga, don't you, Anton?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you have you work with the A2A guys, right?
Yep.
How fast does the file go through the system there?
I don't know really. Maybe
What?
to the A2A from XAB?
No. When a file comes into A2A and it's going out.
Going out where? To XAB?
No, to a customer. I mean, what I mean is that, yeah, I think it takes some time, you know.
Yep.
So here, 52:48, and then it goes out. So here it took a few seconds. So that's a lot of seconds, actually. What happened here? Here it took 1 minute to come from this one to this one. That's interesting. So here it took much longer. 16:20, 16:20, 59. And here 24. Wow. Archive. So it seems like the archiving is the bottleneck in this case. Maybe it was a huge file. It's 7 gig. Yeah. Okay. Okay, maybe that's the problem. No, 7 meg. So it's anyway. So this is what we're going to look at a little bit more also, because it's important to understand the effects you have when you map and make programs, and how it affects the operation, you know, and what you can see here, and what you should log and so on. So that's also part of the next training. It's going to be 2 tough days, so you need to have good sleep before and so on. I'm going to go over it fast, and but you are experienced, so you're going to have a lot of questions and learn quick. That's the idea. And especially if you can, it would be fantastic if you can prep me with your questions beforehand, so I get a better chance to answer your questions. So we'll make some kind of questionnaire before, and so but keep your questions stored in the meantime, right? Okay. Are you? I think, judging by the intensity of the discussion here, I think you're quite full of information now.
Yeah, there was a lot of information for one day.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can talk forever, but I don't think you can listen forever. So.
No, we can listen forever. It's just we cannot comprehend forever.
Yeah.
At one point, you just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, fair enough. Hopefully you have less thresholds doing the mapping now. You just go ahead. As we said, be careful with the ADF, opening archives, and a good ADF design will help you do the mapping. But then again, if you have XML or artifact and so on, you can't do anything. You just have to comply with their existing structures and so on. But that's. But you learned a few things about the copying records and loops and so on in the map in there to do the mapping. And we'll learn more next time. And beware, please write down questions and so on. And if you have any questions in the meantime, this machine here with the Opus Capita email address, I never read. I'm not using this computer unless I'm here. But if you, where's the output there? But if you want to mail me, you would need to use my other email, which is the quick print, home, new mail. So Darja, Anton. No, I put the. Is it Kuznetsov's, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And Malach.
Yes, it's me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Andreas. And how do you spell Thomas?
TH.
And then you're starting.
Valfritt.
Yeah. So here. No.
Could you please send me as well?
Sorry, who did I miss?
Eric.
Oh, sorry. Oh. There you are. That one, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, you're so many. Jesus. If you're really deep shit, you can call my mobile. Okay. This mail I will read on my mobile, if anything, and so on. And there's my mobile number. So, but don't email me on the opuscapita.com. I will not be on here. Okay. Well, maybe once a month. So, thank you for attending. Next time I will look you in the eyes and make sure you don't fall asleep. Hopefully we'll have a good time next time in January. And keep sending me questions on my McFeet mail there, and prep me. And if you have short questions, I'm more than happy to help. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
And good luck now with your projects. Okay.
Yeah, you have a good one. See ya.
I'll see you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.